In high school, I've learned trigonometry, chemistry, physics, and a whole lot more stuff which I haven't even used once since I've become an adult. And in college, I learned a lot of useless stuff as well, about 80% of which I've never used again. But one major topic that is almost never discussed is something you guessed, is money and financial education. However, what I believe is two things. Is that the school system is still based on industrial revolutionary mindsets. So they're looking for mindless workers to fulfill their factory assembly lines. And secondly, the government themselves don't want students to learn a great deal about money as well, because governments are often funded by corporations to win elections and campaigns. So if corporate greed and their advertising can teach your kids how to use money, then the economy will run better because everybody is just mindlessly spending their money on things that they can't afford. So in today's episode, I'm going to be going over a list of financial topics that I think I would have benefited tremendously if this was taught in high school or in college. Number one is the history of money. I learned all about the history of my country and of World War II and how it affects all of us. But what is something that affects us every day, which is money? I want to know how gold and silver became the standard of value. Because technically there really is no usage for these precious metals other than people trusting them as a currency. Money, I learned from my own education, is not real. It's merely a promise from our government that it's worth something, and really it's just imaginary. The only thing that is real is commodities, so things that we can actually use or hold as practical value. So for example, like a sack of rice or a goat, because you can eat it and survive off of it. Money is all about the trust that the piece of paper that you hold is worth something and you can trade it for something else. Nowadays, money isn't even backed by gold, so the government really have full control over the value of your $100 bill. And because it controls how much you can buy with it, you can really have $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollar, but it's worth next to nothing due to inflation. So governments can really destroy economies if they wanted to, just by printing money nonstop. Number two is debt and credit. How to get into debt and how to get out of it. Back in high school, I was told by my parents to go open a bank account, get a nice new debit card, and use it if I need to. But I thought about it, why do I need it? What do I need it for? And how does it work? Then I started getting some offers for credit cards, and my parents told me to go get one to build my credit. So what's my credit and why do I need it? I've heard some people spending their credit cards when they're just getting their first car and not realizing that they actually have to pay them off at the end of the month. So it was only when the card started to decline and then they realized that something was wrong. And also, nobody really told me how interest works either, because it was only after I started to pay off my credit card that I realized that I had all these extra interest that was charged on it. The act of borrowing money and paying it off is a very new concept to us. And most of us don't know why we need to borrow. You may need to borrow money for a car or for university tuition, but is the cost benefit worthwhile in the long run? How are you going to be paying it off in the future? I think that being taught at least some simple calculations on how much your loan is going to cost you in the long run would help me tremendously in understanding and picking to see if that loan is right for me. Number three is interest and how to pay it off quickly. Similar to our previous topic, interest can be a killer, and most of us never learn it until we're knee deep in crap, pretty much. And a lot of people are in a cycle of barely being able to pay off their minimum balances on their credit cards and being stuck in constant interest payments before they even know what it is. I believe that schools need to teach us how to take student loans and how to pay them off quickly. Because even if the students were to not get their ideal careers right out of university, then how are they going to manage to even pay the small minimums every month? And how long would that take to pay off the entire loan? Number 4 is the stock market and how to invest. Whether we like it or not, our money is attached to the stock market, which is attached to the economy. And if you're in any mutual funds or ETFs or bonds or GICs or even cryptocurrency, then you're doing something with the market. There is absolutely no explanation of how the stock market works. And how does the economy work? Where do we invest our hard-earned money? We're only taught to save it, but even saving money means losing money due to inflation. So we need to know how to make our money work hard for us. Number 5 is the difference between an asset and a liability. Things that make you money versus things that lose you money. Did you want to buy that fancy new BMW? It may look great in front of your friends, but it may be horrible for your balance sheet. Paying for all that insurance and maintenance and gas, and don't forget about depreciation. So way to spend money on something that loses you more money. It's okay to want nice things, but often we want to get nice things to impress other people or to make ourselves feel better temporarily. The nicest thing that you can really get for yourself is to save enough for retirement and be able to pay for yourself for the rest of your life. And the only way to really do that is to take your hard-earned money to buy more assets such as real estate or dividend stocks or starting a business. Number 6 is taxes. Why does the government need money and how much do I pay? We pay taxes. And I know that it goes to the government and they pay for things like the military and community service and education, healthcare, roads and bridges, etc. There's a lot of things that they pay for, and I absolutely understand that. However, how are our taxes calculated? Why do some people pay more taxes than other people? What's a tax bracket? Once again, none of this is ever explained to us. And even our parents have very little awareness of what it is, and we often have to trust tax experts or accountants to try to figure that out for us. So that gives us very little control over our money because taxes can be upwards of a couple $100s to tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're a high income earner. It's funny because the government knows how much money we owe them, but yet they don't really tell us and ask us to figure it out for ourselves. So in the end, there's just very little education about it. And this is something that we have to do every year. Number 7 is bankruptcy and foreclosures, more of the negative side of money. This is the ugly side of money. We hear this all the time on the news, but what do we really know about it? What happens in a bankruptcy? Where do our assets go? How does it affect our credit? And what's the road to recovery from bankruptcy? How about foreclosures? You use your hard-earned money to buy a house and now you can't afford it anymore. The bank takes it away from you and sells it, and while you lose your investment. And we have to learn how to avoid these situations. The negative side of money is just as important as all the bells and whistles of making money. Having a nice toy is important, but what if you have to protect yourself from the downside? Or if you actually hit rock bottom, how do you recover from that? Number 8 is how to keep track of your money and how to pay bills on a daily basis. Last but not least, what about the management of your money day to day? Do you put them into categories, spending categories, income categories? How much do you put away in savings each month? What's your monthly, if not weekly, expenses? And what kind of bills do you have to pay for? Are there hidden ones that you don't know or not sure of? Or what about when you hit emergency situations like a funeral or injuries and car repairs? What buckets you put your money in is important to your daily life, income, and expenses. And how you manage that is really a core life skill. And once again, that's just not taught in schools. I realize I might have given you more questions than answers in this video, but with what our formal education doesn't teach us, we can just learn it ourselves now. with almost unlimited resources out there like YouTube, blogs, audiobooks, all sorts of stuff. We can figure it out ourselves. However, it's just a shame that the younger generations after us will come out and have the same issues as us. So in the comments below, tell me what kind of life skill topic that you wish that you learned in high school or college. And what are some of the resources that you are using now to get a better grasp on life and on your financial education? I'd love to know, and maybe I can help you out with that as well. And make sure if you enjoy this video to like it and to subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you guys next time.